This is Rovin RE Crossroads First Realty 3. I'm Linda Montgomery, and I'm roving around North Texas, highlighting all the people, places, and things that make this a great place to live and invest in real estate. We're so happy today to have a guest expert with us. This is Scott Drescher. He's the Vice President of Business Development with Highlands Residential Mortgage. We're so glad to have you with us, Scott. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Linda. Glad to be here.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about all those wonderful changes that the government has put on us recently. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and all the new documents that have come into place, replacing what we used to call the good faith estimate and the closing statement. What is the purpose of all these laws?
Well, the first thing is that the old good faith estimate was really troublesome. Consumers couldn't make any sense out of it. And lenders were required to disclose things in such a way that prohibited the lender from being clear in what the costs and the fees would be. So, in my opinion, changing over to the new forms, which is, they're now called TRID, TILA RESPA Integrated Disclosures, what you have instead is you've got an estimate, which we call the loan estimate, and then the closing disclosure for the closing that actually look similar and act the same. And so that's the whole integrated part of the integrated disclosures. In the old forms, we had the good faith estimate that stood alone, didn't make any sense by itself, and then you had a closing statement, the HUD-1 settlement statement, that looked nothing like the initial one, and so people couldn't ever marry the two and know what they were really in store for.
I think some of them are really beneficial. The one thing that I noticed was how easy it was to compare one form to another. So I think that really things are working fairly well. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, the only change that really causes consternation is the fact that you have to send the initial closing disclosure a certain number of days ahead of closing. And so some lenders, the big banks in particular, have chosen to send that disclosure by mail. They consider it to be mailed even if they send it electronically, taking the full 7 days that's allowed by federal law instead of just the 3-day minimum. And so once again, working with a big bank then causes problems for borrowers that they wouldn't have if they worked for a good mortgage banker like Highlands Residential Mortgage.
And that is so important to a real estate agent representing a buyer because, of course, they want the process to be smooth. They don't want to have those delays. So that's certainly an excellent point that we need to keep in mind. I know those of us in the profession were very, very worried about this transition, but I don't think it's turned out to be as big a deal as some people thought. Would you agree with that?
I would agree only to the extent that the people you're talking to have probably been involved with good local mortgage bankers.
Yes.
Because when you start working with the big banks or telemarketing call centers, like USAA or some of the insurance companies, they're really the big federal credit unions, they're all call centers. And so they still take 45 to 60 days to close. And most buyers are winning contracts when they can close in 30 days or 21 days.
In this market, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And so you have to have a really solid mortgage banker that can act quickly for you, or you end up not even getting the contract at all. So then you lose out.
And doesn't that come back again to the relationship, a personal relationship though, with the mortgage lender so that that buyer feels comfortable, somebody here in Texas knowing what's going on and a realtor all working together? It seems to me like that's common sense, but apparently some people are always looking for something out there that, you know, you see things on TV and the internet about call here and you can do it in 3 days, and that just scares me to death. I'd rather have a professional like you on the ground and to have that relationship with the buyer.
And I'm not saying that everybody has to be local.
No.
Because I'm not local to the closings that I do in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, but I'm a professional who knows what he's doing. Our company knows how to do things quickly, efficiently, and get things done ahead of time. That's the key. If you work with a telemarketing call center of an insurance company or one of those national companies, that's the problem. You're dealing with people who don't know what they're doing and a company that doesn't care.
And experience and caring, that's very important when you're working with a lender as well as a real estate agent. Well, tell me a little bit about how you minimize delays besides the one that you just mentioned. Is there something you can do to work with buyers to keep those last minute delays from happening?
Well, for the most part, it's all about having enough experience to anticipate issues that might come up later and tackling them ahead of time. And then you have to have a strong processing team, as I have, who is willing to call the customer and say, we didn't need A when I asked for B, we needed B, so go back and get me B right away. Because a lot of people they refuse to follow the instructions that they receive. We all deal with that all the time. And so it takes having a strong processing team that will say, no, please do it this way, get it to me right away, and then we can turn the whole process quickly for you.
Makes such a difference. We appreciate that advice so much. Thank you, Scott, for being with us today. Of course, you need to consult your own mortgage lender and your own real estate agent for advice. But thank you again, Scott, for being with us.
You bet. Thank you for having me.